Hi guys, and welcome to my review of the Peugeot 208, a very important car here in Europe. The 2020 model of course shares its platform with the new Vauxhall Opel Corsa as well, an equally important car in this market. They come in a range of trim levels and engine options, and they start from about £17,000 and they go right up to over £30,000, and that's for the full electric version. Let me know if you want me to review that one. That's for the GT version, and maybe we can do that as well. Now this one, to give it its full name, I have to read it out. It's the 208 GT line 1.2L Pure Tech 100 EAT 8 SNS automatic. My god, the name is longer than the car. Look at that, that's incredible. Basically what it means is it's got the 1.2 3-cylinder engine. It's very well spec'd, puts out about 100 brake horsepower, 0 to 62 miles per hour in about 10.8 seconds, and a top speed of 117 miles per hour. Fuel economy is quoted on here as just over 44 miles per gallon, and CO2 emissions are 99 grams per kilometer. It's a good looking car. It's very security conscious, so the moment that you walk away from it, it locks itself, which is what it's done now, which is why the mirrors are in, and then it unlocks itself, and you can see the fangs at the front. They're so cool, aren't they, when they come on. Lots of great features in this car. The interior is amazing. I can't wait to show you the instrument panel. But before we get into all of that, make sure that you're subscribing to youtube.com/browncarguy. And make sure you're following me on all the social media channels. Just search for my hashtag. That is, of course, browncarguy on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And of course, subscribe to browncarguy.com. You can also sponsor my content at patreon.com/ShazadSheikh. More about that at the end of the video. Meanwhile, let's start to check this out, and we'll do that by checking out the boot as usual. You know, I've got to say, it's got a really distinctive look about it. It's got this whole fang thing going on at the front, as you've seen, and also kind of this claw theme that's carrying through. You can see it here in these tail lights, and if I unlock them, look what they do. That's absolutely fantastic, isn't it? Look at the detail that is in those tail lamps. Isn't that amazing? Anyway, we're here to look at the boot. Of course, look at the strip. I mean, it's got a really nice spoiler and a whole sort of pinched bottom look about it, doesn't it? The opening is under here. And the boot is pretty straightforward, to be honest, as you'd expect in a small hatchback. It's quite deep, so there's a little bit of a lip to get stuff over, like that. And then pretty much it's got a flat floor space, 60/40 folding rear seats, not much else really, a strap here to hold stuff on, and a hook for your shopping bags and stuff like that. That's pretty much it. Underneath here you have this area here, which is basically the spare wheel, space saver spare wheel, and the toolkit. So that's pretty much it for the rear. Let's see what the interior rear passenger cabin is like. Okay, here we go. And I've got to point out that I'm 6'2", quite on the tall side with long legs, and this driving seat, this driving position obviously is set for my height. So for me, that's not really doable. It's a bit too tight. I think for children, a normal size adults would be fine, particularly when you mention children. Look at that, they've got 2 USB points here, which I think is fantastic. Most SUVs don't even have that, and they've got it in this little 208, and that makes a lot of sense because of course kids do need to plug in their devices. And they also get some reading lights. Check these out, and these are really cool. You just touch them, you just flick them, and look at that. How nice is that? That's like a luxury car thing. That is touch sensitive rear reading lights. Look at that, that's great. Love the trim as well. That is so nicely done with this sort of embedded embossed sort of thing. No, it's embedded actually. It's a strap that goes on top that's stitched in with this kind of, you know, pattern on here. It's really nicely done. The headrest, which is adjustable, is also very, very nicely done as well. And there you go. And then over here you of course have child seat isofix anchor points as well. So to be honest, take your family down to the dealership or showroom and try it out for size. If they fit in the car, fine, no problem. If you're on the tall side, you got tall family, you might just want to double check it. Otherwise, not too bad. The seats look good though. I want to get in the front and see what they're like. Here we go. Now this is more like it, and it's good to get out of the rain. Oh my God, I could spend the entire front section just talking about this instrument binnacle, because it is something out of a science fiction movie. It's fantastic. There's a little gap there, which looks really cool, and I like the way they've done that. But sometimes it does let the light in a little bit to obscure the instrument display. So let me start it up. There's a starter button here, and you'll see what that does. Look at that. Isn't that fantastic? Now, I don't know if you can make it out, but that has that 3D holographic thing going on, which really takes the whole digital display thing to a next level. This is really next level stuff. I can show you can configure it from here. And so you've got, so let's go back. Let's go at the moment. And if I put it on driving, you can see that, you know, there is a car there, and that's just to give you, this thing has an option pack, and actually as an option it's got driver assist pack, which is £300. It includes adaptive cruise control with stop go in traffic and including lane positioning, so that's kind of where that helps as well. There you go. And now let's show you the other modes. Dials we've already shown you, because that was a default setting that I had it on because that's my preference. But you see here, look at that, that's where the radio, and again that's floating. If you can, I'm going to keep moving this around to give you an idea of how that actually looks. And look at all the graphics and everything. That's the trip meter that goes into this. The minimum will really give you an idea, because that goes back to quite traditional in that it is flat. That is not 3D anymore, so you can actually see the difference. So now if I go back into the next level, which is navigation, which is probably the most spectacular one, and because it shows you the map and puts an arrow on the map, and you can look, you can see the shadow of the arrow. That is quite extraordinary. So I'm going to put it back into dials, because that's the one that I like. And the other thing interesting, let me just show you, when it goes back into dials, you see the speedometer. Look, if I just give it a few revs, look what happens there. That's what it does. That's fantastic. So it's got this carbon effect trim weave sort of effect here, but that's actually, you know, it's a little bit soft to attach, particularly in this area. It feels high quality, you know, a bit of lighting effect going on around here. Really beautifully designed. It feels like it's a hint of Lamborghini, dare I say, in the way that this has been styled. This is the optional 10-inch capacitive touchscreen. That's 650 pound option, that one. But the 6-speaker sound system is stereo standard. DAB, Apple CarPlay, all the rest of it. Sounds really good. I've been enjoying the stereo system. Nice toggle switches. These are touch buttons on here. Look, so you can see if I just do that, you know, that's just touch on there, and then of course you've got the toggles as well down here. So that's really nicely done. Over here, this is a compartment, and you can put your wireless charging in there, the phone. If you put a cable in there, that's a normal USB cable, but you've got micro USB cable. If you put a cable in there, you can't actually close that. But you know, if you want to leave it open, you can put a phone on there if you want to. You might think, well, that's a bit flimsy, isn't it? Isn't it going to break? Possibly, maybe. But having said that, it's quite nicely damped. Look at that, and it does feel like it's fairly sturdy. This does feel one of the better built Peugeots than you will have experienced. Another power supply there. 8-speed automatic in this little car with a manual option, because it does have paddle shifts. Now this has got that Peugeot steering that they were doing in all of those cars, where you actually look at the instrument panel from above there, which makes it feel like it's sitting lower, and for a long leg person like me, that could be problematic. So again, take it for a test drive, make sure that you're comfortable in the car. Cup holders, which are a little bit on the small side. The driving modes makes quite different in sports mode. We're going to get into that. And a little box here, which is actually really deep. I mean, that goes in really deep. Again, that same nice trim on the seats. Glove box, which is compartmentalized, so quite a bit of space, not too bad, and generally like really nice interior. This car, as you can see, is very well equipped as standard. Go onto the website, check it out, check out the dealer, and look at the trim level and see what they offer. So like I said, the only options on here are the pearlescent paint, that's $695, the adaptive cruise control, and this screen. Everything else is pretty much standard. So it's all really good. So I think the next thing to do really is to take it for a drive. But I think I might wait till the rain stops, because yeah, so it took a while for the rain to stop actually, but hey, look at this bright sunny day, eh? So definitely worth taking the time to give this car a bit of a try. So again, it comes with the 1.2 actually comes as a 75 horsepower and as 100 horsepower. This of course is 100 horsepower, and I think you get a diesel version, which is also, there's a diesel engine which is also about I think 100 horsepower, and then of course the E, which is the most powerful one, 136 horsepower. So anyway, this is the 100 horsepower version, and as I was mentioning, I have found like a lot of cars you get modes, and this has got normal, eco, sports mode, and a lot of car you get modes, and you don't really like it, there's even a little bit of a hesitation in the throttle take up, on this car in normal mode, and it doesn't feel quite as that sharp. But one thing that I found, one thing I will say about this car is that it feels. Actually, you know what? Let's do this. Let's go into sports, and then we'll talk about that in a minute because this road is a bit nice. And let's plunge. Oh, okay. The response immediately is better. It just feels like the whole car just livens up a little bit. It just gets nice, and the ride is very, very good at speed. There's a little bit of brittleness to it. There's a little bit of transmission, slight bit of thump, and as you can see, a little bit of picking up the undulations of the road. But generally, it's very composed and very flat, and not really a problem as you'd expect. It's a little car, so it gets thrown around. So that's what I was talking about. We'll stick in sports mode at the moment, because actually, to be honest, that's how I've been driving it most of the time. Even though now we're in a slower part of the road. But anyway, what I was saying was that in terms of size, as you saw when I sat in the back, this is clearly a small car. Yeah, this is a sort of Fiesta rival, that sort of thing, right? But from, the looks of the car are one thing. The styling of the car certainly makes it look quite a bit bigger than you'd think. It just feels like a bigger car just from the way that it's been styled. And I think that's to do with the way that the edges have been contoured around and the flanks have sort of been extended a little bit, and it makes it look like a bigger car, certainly with the sort of claws at the front as well. In addition, this quality interior sets you in mind of a bigger, more upmarket vehicle, and I think that also adds to that impression. So you really do feel this is a big car until you start to drive it. Even behind the wheel, you still get that impression. But when you start to throw it around and you start to move a little bit quicker, and you have to deal with width restrictions and stuff like that, then you go, oh, actually no, it is quite a small car, particularly as evident by the rear space. So it's quite nimble. And it's it has the attributes of what you would expect a small car to be, despite the fact that it's got active cruise control and lane keep, and the lane keep kind of finds you a little bit, so I think I should have turned that off, but anyway. So the steering wheel, it's electric power steering, so again I would hope for a little bit more feedback, really, especially for this sort of car, to really exploit it at its best. But to be honest, it's still entertaining enough. It's we're not talking like hot hatch levels of performance or feedback, but enough for you to go, yeah, you know what, on a quick drive around town to the shops, a little commute, a little bit about town, stuff like this, actually it can be quite enjoyable. So it does have a manual mode, so you can press M there and you can use the flappy paddles. I have tried it. It's not particularly satisfying, and the other thing that you get sort of gear anxiety, if you like, because there's just too many gears. There's an 8-speed gearbox, and you just, leave it. If it was a manual, I think that could be a bit of a hoot, actually. I think that would be really good fun. It's an automatic, it's 8-speed, the gearbox is fantastic, it's never missed a gear. It's, apart from that initial hesitation, which actually is resolved when you put it into sports mode, there's no issue with it, so really just leave it in drive and, let it take care of itself. All-round visibility in this car is very good indeed. There's no issue at all. Again, it's quite easy to place the car. It is, like I said, once you start to realize that actually the initial perception of it being a big car is not really accurate, it is actually quite a small car, then you start to get a little bit more confident about throwing it around and stuff like that. Parking, as I said, it's got reversing camera, so that's not an issue at all. Again, back to the performance, initially with that slight hesitation when you've got it in the normal mode, maybe a little bit of turbo lag, I'm not sure, but but when you click it into sports mode, you get a little bit better. Maybe it's the responsiveness of the gear shift. Maybe they obviously changed the gear changing pattern into a more sportier arrangement when you hit the sports mode, and that might explain that.
But in any case, it does feel it's so good. It's that to me, even around town, I've been driving it pretty much in sports mode, and that may account for the fact that, despite the fact I said at the beginning that it's got a claimed fuel economy of well over 44 miles per gallon. If I just hit my button here on the right, and I can see trip meter since I've had the car, the best I've achieved, which is now on a bit of a motorway run, is about 24.3 miles per gallon. So driving it spiritedly is not entirely conducive to getting the best economy out of it. But hey ho, as you know, doesn't matter. So what? You know, it's a fun car. That's the thing that is most important about it. So I think this is a really impressive vehicle. I think this got a lot going for it, including the looks, the style, the interior quality, the appointment, the way that this feels. The instrument panel alone is a talking point and will keep you and your mates amused, for mere minutes. It's really interesting, especially when you go through the things. It's got all the features in this spec version, so you really want to have that because it's kind of nice. Nice layout of toggle switches. It's a nice place to be in. It's a nice car to use day to day. It has that real usability factor about it where, you just get in, commute in it, take the family out in it, your family can fit in it, etc. No issues whatsoever. So, and I'm sure that if you drive it in a more thriftier manner than then you probably will get better fuel economy. But I am, with the nature of the car, I'm tempted to just drive it a bit harder than maybe I should be, So there you go, all around. I think this is amazing. I think this is a real step up from Peugeot. It's a real Peugeot that you really want to be sitting in and be seen in. It's that sort of Peugeot. And to drive, it's that enjoyable. So big thumbs up for me. I really like it. Let me know what you think of the car. Let me have your comments above below elsewhere about the car, the weather, me, whatever else you want to talk about. And don't forget to subscribe to youtube.com/browncarguy. Make sure you follow me on all the social media channels. Just search for my hashtag. That's #browncarguy. And of course, subscribe to browncarguy.com. If you can, please sponsor my content, and you can do that at patreon.com/ShazadSheikh, and you'll join other people such as Mohamed Ali Humaid from the UAE, Partha over in India, Tom Conway-Gordon in, right here in the UK, and Isaac Bouchard over in America. Find him at bespokeautos.com. It'd be great if you could join them. If not, please continue to make sure that you hit that like button, comment, subscribe, share, all the rest of it. That is really, really appreciated. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you all again soon in the next video.